Probably more shit.
Just go on.
We're live here on Instagram. We live on YouTube. All right. Welcome, everybody, to Smoke and Barrel. We are here today live on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, enjoying another beautiful day in Smoke and Barrel Cigar Bar and Lounge.
Hot.
It's hot outside. Anything over 90 degrees is hot. So it's hot.
Warm.
It's hot.
85. It is warm.
But we're in here. It's air conditioned. It's great. We have friends sitting around. We're just going to enjoy some time together. Whiskey Tango Charlie, Charles Wilkerson. We got Busta, also known as Luther Ross.
That's me.
And we have the cigar extraordinaire, T. Crocker,
Also known as Cigar Pimp.
Deputy Mayor Cigar Pimp,
What up?
and myself, Brian Huff. So thanks for joining us today. We got a great pairing today. It's really cool. I think these are going to go really well together. We got the CAO Cameroon El Anniversary. Really good. It's part of their series. We'll talk about it in a moment. We've got Michter's Rye. So I think this is a great. I love Michter's Rye with an old fashioned. I love it. Just neat. It's just a really easy going pour, and Charles is going to talk about that. We've got a lot going on this week at Smoke and Barrel, so hopefully you can join us. We turned 3 years old this week.
We're a toddler.
Happy birthday. We are now walking and talking. You know, you always want your kids to walk and talk. You spend the rest of your life asking them to sit down and be quiet.
Shut up.
So now we're walking and talking. So we're excited about that. So we've got 4 days of fun celebration. We're giving away some new 3-year house cigars. They're going to also be for sale. First 25 customers Thursday, Saturday, Sunday get a free 3-year cigar as long as they arrive.
What, the people or the cigars?
The cigars.
Oh, okay.
The people will be here. No, the cigars are delayed because we ordered them first of last week, but PCA always puts everything behind. It's the same with a lot of other companies right now. So we have the bands. We just need to get them on there. So we'll do that. Hopefully they'll be here today when UPS comes by. So that'll be great. So we've got Elements in Tune, everybody's favorite, with Fitz Mason, Bub's Grub Hub. We've got Cougar Mountain Boys singing country music, and that's Friday night with Jazzy Wings. Stevie is back. Amen. Saturday, Buff Dillard, another favorite, along with another favorite, Boogie Smoke Shop.
Boogie's Smoke Shop.
Sunday, another favorite, DJ Sheila B. and Jazzy Wings will be back serving on Sunday. So we got it all lined out. We got Carol Lee Martin coming in on Friday. So she is buy 3, get 1 free. She is the goddess of cigars, our general cigar rep. And so in her honor, we're smoking a CAO today. We have raffles going on all weekend. We've got drink specials all weekend. We got champagne toast coming up. That was Friday and Sunday. So get down here, get your chair, settle in. Let's have some fun.
We're going to have a good time this weekend.
It's going to be great.
Yeah.
It's hot outside. We all know that. We just got fans. We'll just deal with it. Better to have a good time.
Yes, sir.
Charles, tell us about the Michter's Rye.
Wow. You know, when you sent me the text, I immediately said, man, I haven't been to Michter's Rye in a little while, but I don't know why I don't go there more often, right?
Right.
It is one of the really flavorful ryes out on the market when you think about it. So it's different than Bullet. I mean, so here's the thing about Michter's. They don't disclose their mash bill, so you can't say, well, blah, 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 and it's this and this and this. Well, they don't say. But you know, you can pretty much tell it's not 95.5 like the Bullet, right? 95.5. It's definitely not that because you don't have that hard bite like you do on Bullet. So we got to believe it's somewhere between 51% and 95, somewhere in there. We don't really know on the rye grain, but It is this one is it's a single barrel, so they list this as single barrel, which means there is going to be there's probably should be some slight variation from bottle to bottle. I mean, they give you sort of the barrel number up here on the neck, so there's going to be a slight variation from bottle to bottle, from barrel to barrel. I should say that, not bottle to bottle.
We have some technical direction going on. Hold 1 second. What does T need to do? Sit up, T. There we go. Now we can see her.
Listen,
Sorry, Charles.
Don't be like the school teacher be
You're
calling
old.
me out.
We don't call nobody out. Thank you, T.
Archer's slouching ass back over there. God dang. So
Charles is on the roll.
So hell, this is one of those.
drinking.
We know it's at least a 4-year-old ish in the rye, but here's what I believe sets this one apart. They list, if you kind of do out and do some research, they use a really low entry point. I mean, the distillate going into the barrel. So they're running about, I think it's a 106 proof is what they're going in the barrel at. And you say, well, okay, what does that mean? Well, what I've learned working with distillers and talking to these folks over many companies is especially when you start talking about stuff that's in the barrel a shorter period of time, so it's only maybe 4 to 5 years old. These guys are saying, or at least what I've learned from these, lower proof, water interacts with the wood in the barrel differently than the higher proof, the alcohol does. So the water actually will pull more flavors, and so this is where I believe, and I haven't really gone and met with Michner's and had this in depth, but when you talk about lower proof, more water content in the barrel, one of the things you get from the Michner's is a lot of flavor, and you get some depth of flavor and on a rye whiskey. So, and I think that's the combination. And this comes out, so from, you think about that, if it's going in there at 106 or 7, somewhere in there, proof, and they're bottling, what is it, 84, 84.8, 85, so just call it 85. So when they're coming out of the barrels, they're not really proofing back a whole lot from that. So let's say it gains a little bit of proof. Maybe it's a 110 after it sits there for a few years. Well, they're only proofing it back to 89. I mean, they're not really, so they're not diluting a lot of that flavor profile. So, whereas if you were at a higher proof going into the barrel, let's say you're going in the barrel at 120, now you're bringing a lot of water into the plate and get it down to 89 to go in the bottle down, and you're diluting a lot of that. So that's a balance they put in there. So understanding what's coming out of the barrel, they're going to add distilled water to it to bring that proof down to where they're at. And even though I got to believe, even though it's a single barrel, they're going to want their master distiller, the head guy, their taster. There's a sweet spot. They're trying to stay in a range.
Right.
I mean, they're not going to put, just because it's a single barrel, if one gets way out here, yeah, they'll use it for something else, because when you get this bottle, and if you're used to a certain range in there, a little bit of variance, okay, but if it gets too far out, you're going to say, yeah. But anyway, this is one of my favorites. The Michner's Rye. It's affordable. I think it's fairly accessible.
Yeah, it
still.
is. Mm-hmm.
It's 35 bucks, mid 30s is a price point. So yeah, it's all around good. We had a rye. We had a rye on Friday night. Troy and I was at a private tasting with the rep, the Uncle Nearest rep.
Hey, Derek, can you move those chairs on the other side? Sorry, brother.
So we're
gonna move those chairs.
We ended up tasting the Uncle Nearest rye that's just been out, and I can tell you it has a little more bite than this stuff.
So a little more rye content.
I'm guessing it's got a little more spiciness to the tongue, but very flavorful. You've had the right. You've had the
Talon through T gave me a gift of Uncle Nearest Rye because I had not seen it.
Yeah.
And it's a little more
More
rye
complex.
content.
Yeah.
I got my bottle for Christmas. I ain't opened it yet.
You know me, I gotta try it. Comes in the house.
We got to try
I got
that.
all 3 bottles, they're about a handful.
There you go. But this is really
I'm just
good.
gonna-
This Michner's is going to be
I'm gonna
soft.
get me a collection, get all 3 bottles, then buy me a bottle to open. But I ain't opening that one. That was my Christmas gift from my son. He
Let me
loves
ask
his
you-
mama.
Let me ask you about distilling. When they have barrels in this warehouse, I guess, are those warehouses climate controlled? Is it hot? Is it cold? Is it?
Well, typically not. It's not climate controlled. Typical. I'll say typically. Michner's is one of those out there that do have heated warehouses, and what they are. You think about that, the cycles of hot summer, cool winters, cold winters. So the cycles, that is what pushes that juice in and out of the barrels that gets the flavor. What Michner's has done, I think, and there's others that are doing it. I think they'll apply some heat to the rick houses in the winter to warm them up a little bit. What they're trying to do is gain an additional cycle through the 12-month period.
An additional heat cycle.
Well, something. So
okay.
if it's going to be, let's say it's going to be extremely cold stretch of winter, and this past year was fairly mild, I guess,
Right.
across the country, especially Kentucky standards, because I mean we were there in January and it was 72 degrees. But in those extreme cold temperature, when it's going to be really cold, well, that juice is just going to lay there. So they'll apply some heat probably, and then get that to move a little bit, and that's it. That's all it does.
And that was the conversation we had with our friends
Oh, Seth.
Seth.
Yeah.
You know, Seth was talking about, because they're in Alabama, and the way that the sun comes in their buildings, it's so hot, much longer and intense than, say, Kentucky or Tennessee, that it really matures, and you can get that darker, richer looking and tasting bourbon that comes out faster as well.
Faster. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But this one at 88 proof, 89 proof, whatever you want to call it. It's a good sipper, right? You don't have to cut this down with all.
And there's no shock in the palate as
No.
soon as I tasted it.
I mean, this is sweet. You
Got
get
a
a
lot
nice
of sweet
sweetness on
flavor.
the nose. You get a sweet on the palate. There's some of these I've had where I'm telling you, you get a sip of this, and I'm going to put this one in your head. Think Cinnabons. Think a warm cinnamon roll. I've got some of these where I'd get a sip of that, and you're like cinnamon roll, like a Cinnabon. I mean, it is just that sweet, and you get the cinnamon spices. I'm not getting quite that much cinnamon on this one.
Strippers.
We did a tasting at Michter's in Louisville, and we had
I
the rye,
I think I bought a meal
the
plan.
straight, and then I forget the other two. But the guy, all he could talk about was caramel vanilla, and it's such a generic
I ain't paying for it.
description that I felt like, can't you come up with something better? Because every time you taste a bourbon like this, it's caramel vanilla.
But-
Well, and there's a lot of that there, but it has to be, as you were saying, Cinnabon, something that you can sink your teeth into, for lack of a
Okay.
better way to put it. I got a question. So you were talking about the water content of a lower proof bourbon when it goes in. So consequently, if it was 127 proof, it has a higher alcohol content.
Right.
So how the water allows it to bring out those flavors better versus that. Can you talk a little bit about how the higher proof reacts versus that?
It was a really in-depth conversation I had with the guys up at Doc Porter's before they had closed, and he was really giving me an education on that. Because now Doc Porter's so they're using like the 30-gallon barrels, the small, not the small, but a 30-gallon. And I was asking him the question about entry proof, and he was explaining this to me, how, I said, why are you going in at this particular, I forget what he was going, I said, why do you choose this entry proof? And he said, they had worked on different levels, and they found that the lower it was, the water, alcohol has a hard time penetrating or going into the wood, the higher the alcohol content.
Okay.
The water actually can soak in and then pull back out. And I don't know all the science behind that, but these guys know this. But somehow the higher that water content is it works better with the wood when you. And Doc Porter's and their stuff, they were probably only aging. They were probably coming out at 3 years in the smaller barrel, a little shorter period of time.
Right.
Now you go to the 53 gallon, it's the same difference. And they're getting there's probably certain compounds that work better with the water in the wood, and it's pulling that out. And obviously these guys have been doing it long enough. They know. It is amazing as much as it is science, but then we also have learned from many distillery visits that sometimes it's just the flat luck of a barrel that will turn out just magic. And it's just a piece of wood that was there, or there's something in that wood that just imparted up flavors, and you're just like, it makes that one barrel magic, where the other ones are just good. But we've learned that too. There's a little bit of luck in it.
Well, that and positioning in the rick house at a certain time. So there's a section in one of the rick houses that we went to with Seth and Detling, and it's in the back right corner, and apparently it's where the sun sets every day, so it gets that extra little bit of heat coming in. And what do you call it? The magic corner, or he had a name for it.
Yeah.
And he was aging. Was it a 6-year-old back there? Like he hasn't. He won't let anybody taste it. Won't let anybody have it. This is the special area for it. So we're excited to be able to get that opportunity at some point. At some point during the tasting, Charles did push
Thank you.
push as hard as he could to see if we could get a sip of it, but there was no doing that.
So when it comes to the useful life of a barrel, because I'm
Of a
assuming
barrel?
a barrel, just an empty barrel that's going to be used to age whiskeys and bourbons. Who determines how long that barrel can be useful?
Bourbon is a one and done.
The bourbon barrel is a one and done.
One and done. Brand new barrel, use it one time, done.
So
Whiskey,
Charles, let me ask before you go any further. I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Where do a lot of those whiskey barrels go?
Well, I know 2 of them came down here, didn't they?
They did, but
I don't
as
know.
an industry,
I have no idea.
okay, Charles, go ahead. Charles will answer this question, but there is another life for that barrel.
Oh, okay.
Water barrel?
no. So
Could be wine, but as an industry,
could be. So here's the secondary use of a used bourbon barrel.
Beer.
Secondary is they're even using some of them now in tequila. So you find some tequilas now that have a secondary aging the agave stuff into a used bourbon barrel, pulling out things. The other big component is those barrels go overseas to whiskey people, Scotches and Irish whiskeys. Those barrels go over there.
Ah, okay.
so Scotch is aged in a used bourbon barrel.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. Another
That's why
big
it's
use is they go down to New Orleans to Tabasco plant. Tabasco is aged in used barrels.
Really?
Yes, sir.
So there is a useful life after that, but it's not going to be bourbon.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
But bourbon is one and done.
Yep.
So you char it, you get a 4 char or a 5 char, most of them, you get a 3 char. So that's, you know what I'm saying when I say that?
No, I don't.
Okay.
It's
So
the
you-
thickness of the burn.
Right. So most of these guys buy their barrels. There's some that produce their own barrels, and they'll go in and they'll char it. They'll burn it inside. It'll have a char. So the higher the number, it goes from 1 to 5. The heavier the char, the darker the char. So they're going to do that based on what output they're looking for. A darker is going to have a higher char on it.
Maybe a 4 or 5.
Right. And a lot of
Look at the ash. Look at the ash.
distillery.
Peerless.
Peerless, a lot of the Peerless, in
Some of
fact,
that.
according to the lady that did our tour at Peerless, they're 4s.
Yeah. Everybody has that little magic.
Get some of that, man.
The one that
Right.
the one that is really gaining a lot of momentum. You've seen the Basil Hayden, the one that says toasted. Toasted. Toasted barrels seem to be catching fire because toasting more so than charring gives the barrel, the inside of the barrel, it changes the characteristics and imparts different flavors in a good way, not a bad way, but there's a different flavor.
Well, you have
profile.
the Elijah Craig toasted,
The toasted.
the toasted brand.
And again, look, the distillers have to keep reinventing or adding something new, because why? The consumer, we can continually demand different.
Right.
Yeah, we like what we like, but
Right.
you can come along with something that different and it changes my thought. Wow. Oh yeah, let me try that one, right? So anyway, there's a lot of science, there is a lot of luck in that, but these guys are so good at it, they kind of, I want to say they're almost like the gambling casino. They kind of know how to stack the deck, right?
Yeah, it's an educated bet.
Okay.
It's not shooting in the dark, But also you've got double barrel. So you've got Woodford double barrel. So to talk a little bit about what double barreling means.
So a double barrel, again, is still can be called a bourbon, as long as they moved it from a new barrel to a new barrel. If they went from a new barrel to an old barrel, another used barrel, can't be called really technically. It's not supposed to be bourbon, although I think they sort of bend that a little bit because, you see the secondary, but new barrel to new barrel, everybody seems to be comfortable with that one. The secondary finishes, the ones that you see now with finished in a sherry cask or
Diesel.
Huh?
Diesel cigars. Sherry cask.
Sherry
Right,
cask.
and they use,
You get, it's okay, but the labeling requires you, whatever they do, like something like that, it has to be on the label.
and it's double oaked
I've seen
wood,
that.
right? So you got double oak barrels, 2 different oak barrels, new, and they're just doing that process again in a new barrel.
Okay. I've seen those double oaks.
Oh, that's a dessert. If you want to sip on something that's a dessert, that's your one.
Woodford double oaked is wonderful.
Okay.
And
okay.
the owner, we had Tin Catawba in Belmont, and the owner at that time, I was doing my 50th birthday. And he said, we were planning it, and they had all these bourbons up there. In fact, that's the place where I found Michter's Rye, Russell's Reserve, a lot of those really
Right.
good bourbons. And he's like, well, you got to try it. Got to have it. It's the first time I'd had it, and loved it. Love it first taste. It was so good. So yeah. So
Let's tell us.
So hold on. So just like they put distilled water in the barrels,
Uh-huh.
you put distilled water, that's what you season your humidor with.
Right.
You know why?
Tell us, T.
Because distilled water has no mold spores. That's why they use it.
and it's not the same as purified water.
Nope.
So keep that in mind.
Right.
No purified water.
Yep.
Do not use that because it has minerals and it can cause mold spores. And so we ordered some distilled water and they show up with purified water and I go, not the same. It's distilled. We
Yeah.
need to do something about this. So the Cameroon CAO Cameroon Anniversary Series, Anniversary, is part of a long series with CAO, okay? Mostly with the Maduro line. But this was done for the 30th anniversary of CAO Cameroon, CAO. So Cameroon wrapper comes out of Africa, Cameroon, and then the Nicaraguan long fillers make up the remaining portion of this. This cigar was rated a 92 cigar by Cigar Aficionado. So you're talking about a very highly crafted, really well constructed cigar.
Oh,
There's a lot of taste in this cigar.
That's how you get that right there.
Beautiful. Look at that. I'm telling you.
And you're not going to have any pepper in this. I haven't got one hint of it. At best, it's a medium cigar. At best, and I say that it's between mild and medium. And it reaches the masses.
So the Cameroon wrapper will not give you much pepper? Is that what
It's
I'm
actually the long fillers, the Nicaraguan long fillers, that you're looking for. So the wrapper, Maduro, etc., you're going to get maybe a stronger taste.
Like
The
LFP.
pepper is going to come from what's inside it, not most times. I mean, I'm sure you've got some wrappers that will give you some of that, but most times not.
Okay,
It's going to come from what's inside this.
gotcha.
And you said this was Cameroon is Africa,
Comes out of Africa, yeah.
South Africa, or
Well,
Africa, whatever.
the country of Cameroon. I would
Cameroon.
imagine.
Wow. So when we were sitting here, and I've been sitting here trying to, in my head, I'm always, so I'm going back to a CAO that I know, so my bones, and I'm like, so I'm putting this, so this is a much milder version of a Bones
Yeah.
for my palate. Uneducated, but somewhat educated, but I knew right from the light up, as soon as I lit this one up, and typically, when I get these things, I always have to get past the light up and a quarter inch in before I make a decision. But I knew right off the light up, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna like this one.
Right.
Yeah.
I found it.
Huh?
I found it.
You found it.
T found it. She found this cigar, looking through her crystal ball of cigars.
So y'all just got this, have y'all just got this in? Is this fairly new then?
Yes, for us.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what, they ain't very many left in that box.
No, it's a good one. So the Bones has a Connecticut broadleaf wrapper,
Okay.
okay? And it still comes out of Nicaragua, but the filler is Dominican, Honduran, Nicaraguan. And it
Okay.
is still considered a medium cigar. But this would be medium minus, maybe even,
Right.
somewhere between mild and medium, schmedium,
Well,
as we say.
I enjoy it. Good choice there. And I think from a pairing with the rye is just a good.
So we want to do our secret special.
Well, let's do. Y'all had several sips of the
Yeah.
Y'all
Michner's
finished
now.
with that? I don't know.
So I wanted to bring something in that would be a comparison. This is the Southern Star Double Rye. You guys have this. This is one that we've been to, and they call this Double Rye. Okay, this is made right up here in Statesville. Now, this is a blend of two different rye whiskeys. He's a 95.5, and the other one, I always get this wrong. It's a 75-ish or something. It's a lower rye content. And both of them, they distill it there and barrel it and do all their stuff and age it. But then they bring the two together at what percentages? I couldn't get that out of Pete. I tried.
Right.
He's some of these secrets, but I thought this would be good to sort of sample a different rye, which we have in this glass, against this Michner, and see what you think. Right? Just as a sample,
Let me see what you're talking about, Charlie.
and you'll get a different nose on it and everything.
It's a completely different taste to me. It's smooth. It's not a
It's
high.
more floral.
Huh?
It's more floral.
Floral.
There you go.
Yes. And the proof, they're almost identical. This is 88.
Yeah, it's
So it's-
smooth. There's no
I like that one better.
vanilla. There's not as much vanilla caramel in this to me.
It's a big floral
It's
note.
a floral note.
Almost, it hints to citrusy, almost, when I first got that first sip.
Sort of like honeysuckle.
Honeysuckle. You know what?
I agree with that.
There's a sweetness, and this one has, I think, just a hint more. The first just took one sip, but it maybe is a little more drier.
God dog it.
Yeah.
Oh, we lost the ash.
Drop the ash.
Uh-oh.
Party foul.
The cigar pimp dropped the ash.
Drop the ash.
No, I mean, they're totally different.
So when you get people, and I'm a big fan of the blind tasting, because we were in, this was a funny, Friday night we're in a tasting with the Uncle Nearest rep here in North Carolina. Where he does actually both, and he poured their rye, and he was not doing it blind. Everybody kind of knew what we were tasting. In the room, I'm listening to all the folks in the room. I'm just listening. It was really a treat for me and Troy to do this one. We sat back and got to be just part of the crowd.
Yeah.
We weren't leading it. I'm just letting this man do his thing. But so many people, they get a sip. Yeah, I just don't really like rye. And some people just have a block. They just feel like rye whiskey is just it's not good, and so it's one of the things I always enjoy about ours. I always like to have in a blind, because I guarantee you, if I'd have poured that blind to the same room, it was just like a difference of night and day. People would have said, but people had already formed their opinion that I'm just not a rye whiskey person. Okay, I mean these two, I could do probably a pour of 5 pours and 3 of the 5 being rye, and they'd rank high.
Oh, I'm convinced of that. I mean, you could do a Knob Creek rye. You could do Uncle Nearest rye. You could do the Michter's rye. You could do the double rye. You would have, people love it. There's no doubt.
I really like the Southern Star.
Yeah.
Very flavorful.
Well, y'all have both of them here at the bar. I'm just saying, they're great
They're
pours.
both here. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're really good. They're just so different. For me, I'm more of the Michter's rye. I like it better. Just that taste and how it comes across, that sweetness. I just like it better.
That
But
Whistle
I wouldn't
Pig
turn
Boss Hog,
turn either one down.
That Whistle Pig Boss Hog.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's all right.
that's a beautiful. That's gold. Gold, Jerry.
Ladies and
Gold.
gentlemen, I don't know if you can see it, but the loving that was in Brian's eyes just now was so touching. Let me see it again. I want to see it.
That's because you make a house
Oh,
payment
look
when
at-
you buy
look
the
at
bottle.
that. Look at that.
It make you roll your eyes back in your head. It looks like a slot machine. Rolling them. Yeah. Hey, it is the best you'll ever have. That Whistle Pig,
Okay.
Boss Hog, 9, Siren Song. It's
Okay.
really good.
Oh,
It is. Charlie got to, get sipping in my backyard.
it's
It's really
it's
good.
quite a pour.
We might need to put that on the list for Christmas for Brian.
So when you mix, no, don't spend that kind of money on me. When you mix 2 barrels, and you've got one at 75, one's at 95, rye content is what you're
Right,
saying.
right.
And you mix these barrels together, you're going to have a little more consistency on the taste that comes out. I'm asking
So
versus the single barrel.
yes, they are
So
going
you're not
to.
you're gonna have more consistency.
They're going to blend. So the Southern Star, the double rye, is going to be the blend that they're going to, and they're shooting for the same profile every bottle. Michner's now. So let's say you've just tasted this Michner's, and maybe it wasn't that. Maybe you say, well, this one was. You can't judge that. That's a hard one because there is going to be some variations. So if you go pick up another one, you went up to the store and you pick up another one, totally different barrel number, open it up, pour it. It's going to be within a range, but it could have a flavor profile that you really enjoy. And here's the thing about these, anything you see, if you happen to pick up any bottle of a single barrel and you open it up and it just like, it lights, you're just like, wow, this is the best one ever.
Yep.
I would immediately go back to the store,
Look for that barrel, same barrel number.
take a picture of the one and go back to the store to see if you can find another one with the same barrel number. Because when they're gone, they're gone.
Yeah, they're unique.
Yeah.
There'll never be another one. And that's kind of like, Jefferson Ocean, the voyage numbers, right? Because they're done on a ship and they're taken all over, and the waters, they can run through a storm and it could be a lot more, so you're getting a lot more interaction with the barrels, and it could go through hot, cold, whatever, as many different times. So those voyages, when they bottle them, they'll have a voyage. They can differ as much as night and day. And Jefferson Ocean is unique. I think one of the more unique bourbons because of that aspect.
Yep.
You're sitting in a rick house. Those guys got that pretty much down to a science. It's stable, not stable, but they know from years of experience how these are going to interact and how they're going to do it. And they're tasting them.
Oh, they.
They're sipping them every now and again. Just see, what do I need to do? Do I need to rotate them? I mean, there's a lot to it. Okay. But when you don't have that stabilization of where it is, and you're on a ship, and and it's not on the ship the whole time. It is aging, and then it's finished that way. So at the end of the process is when they do the ship.
Okay. And the voyage is X amount of time?
Yeah. I don't even know how defined it is.
I don't know what they do. That's something I'm going to do. I'm going to do research on that to understand more about that. My belief is they take probably a container and they fill it with the barrels that they're choosing for this voyage. They fill the container, close it up, seal it, have the freight company to pick it up and say, okay, this 100 barrels going on the boat, and that boat is traveling, this is the route that it's going, and it's just sitting on the ship with other containers that's going to port to port to port to port.
Yep.
And then it makes its way back to the U.S. and then it gets off the ship and comes back to the distillery where they open it up and they kind of say, okay, what are we calling this? Voyage number 10, whatever they call it, And then they kind of pull it together and say, what do we got? Again, it's an educated science guess. What do they call that? Swag. Scientific wild ass guess.
There you go.
Swag.
Yeah.
It's a scientific wild ass guess. But they believe, with certainty, they've been doing this enough. They kind of know, putting these barrels in, it's going to go, it's going to travel, move, bang, bang, and then come back, and then we're going to batch it up. And that's what they do. It's not a single barrel, it's a batch of
Right.
all of those barrels that travel. And then they decide where they're going to be with it versus we're going to put it together, we're going to proof and decide on the proof where it gives us the best results, right? So one of them might be, could be at 105, and then they may say, well, maybe we proof it out to 102, and that gives us, it's all these kind of things. So, which one you want?
Oh, Michter's.
Michter's.
All right. 100 years from now, which company is going to be the first to age on the moon?
Well, I can tell you if it goes through, the first one to send stuff in orbit is going to be the guys right up here in North Carolina called Mystic. Mystic Distilling up there just as north of Raleigh. He's already got plans and they've been working on it. In fact, we did a podcast with Blitz, one of the owners of that, to put some barrel or barrels, maybe, I don't know exactly how many it was, but it's going to be put in one of those shots is going to go up and orbit the Earth for a period of time, and then it's coming back down. So you see those things. It's not on the space shuttle, but it's on orbit. It's going to orbit the Earth. It's going to come down, and it's called Galactic. Is the name he's already put. And that, gosh, what was the price of it? I think it's
75,000, ain't it?
it was crazy money, Luther.
A bottle. Per
For-
bottle.
For a bottle?
A bottle. A bottle.
So they got people that's willing to pay that.
Oh, there's people.
Oh yeah, the whole thing was amazing, and so he described the whole process. And if you wanted to get on it, you can put in a reservation, and they're doing it with NFT. I still don't know all this electronic or stuff, but it was done by NFT. So if you put your money in, and if the mission didn't happen, you get a full refund on it. But here's what it was. It was going to be a 750, I think it was a 750 milliliter, but you would also get a 50 milliliter bottle with it. And so the 50 milliliter would be the one you could open, taste, and then you decide you never wanted to open that full one. But people with 75 grand, that's like, in some people's money, that's like $75 to some people with.
I mean, we could say Michael Jordan.
Yes,
I mean,
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk kind of money.
Bill Gates.
Yeah, whatever.
Richest people in America.
I'm going to get that bottle, and that's going to set up in my bar. And people are going to look at it and say, "Oh my God!" But there is one that's I don't know about. Nobody's planning the moonshot yet, but I do know that's the first one that's going to do a
Really
orbit around
That's
the
really
Earth.
cool.
That's a great question. I was racking my brain,
Yeah.
and you actually had an answer. That's
You
incredible.
were thinking, where the hell did he get that from?
No, I was racking my brain to figure out who would be the first, because I'm thinking money. So you're gonna have to have money, and then I was thinking maybe it's one of the superstars, the music stars that have their own bourbon. Bob Dylan has his bourbon. There's plenty of others that have their own bourbon, like Metallica and others. And you're thinking, okay, these are the people that could afford to get it on a spaceship.
Right. Okay.
That's where my mind went.
Yeah.
But then I guess you pre-sell the bottles. You got to pre-sell it to have the money to get up front to get it on the ship, right?
To get I guess a certain amount has to be committed in order to pay for the mission. They call it the mission.
So you're prepaying
So-
for that. So they already know they're sold, I would imagine.
I can't understand. Here's the thing. We think about all the things that we talk about as far as aging whiskey. You need that change in temperature, hot cycles, cold cycles, moving in and out. So I don't know that there's to me, just my mind thinking about this. So in orbit, zero gravity. You see the astronauts up there, they're floating around. So I'm thinking, okay, as it's orbiting, what can really be going on? The temperature is going to be pretty constant, whatever the inside that capsule is going to be, or the
Well, and
temperature,
that's the key.
right?
Okay, because outer space is like negative 1,000 degrees. I mean, it's ridiculously cold.
Right.
And so if it's not exposed to the elements out there, all you're paying for is the mystique of what it went through. I don't think it's going to change the taste of that bourbon 1 ounce
Okay.
from when it was distilled here. It may be a little different, but you're going at 1,000 miles an hour, whatever they travel at in orbit, in order to keep it in orbit. And that's okay, but I wonder how much disturbance happens where there's rattling or there's shaking of the ship. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there has to be something to mix that up, and if you have a constant temperature in a capsule, so people can live, is it a manned capsule or is it
Unmanned.
It's unmanned.
Unmanned.
So they could essentially have little to no heat or all heat. That's where you're gonna get your difference, I would imagine.
I was gonna say there's gonna be some drunk astronauts.
No, no. The real, here's the
Be
things you
some dead
can't measure.
They'd
I
be
don't,
in trouble.
so the thing is the trip around and around and around the earth, I don't know there's a lot, but here's what I do know. You think about the G-forces that it's going to go through on launch,
That's true.
and the G-forces coming back down is immeasurable. I mean, you just think about the pressures that it's going to be. I think, if anything, that's where that interaction or that forced
a good
interaction of
point.
the wood is going to really be magnetized. You know, you magnify that like by thousands. So, I just hope that when the time comes, I get just a little
Just a little.
a
about
little
that much right there.
thimbleful, just a taste of that when it happens, but we'll see.
Probably
Well-
not only shock your palate, it's gonna shock your soul.
Well, here's the thing, we're never gonna know if it changed it or not. We aren't. Now,
Right.
we'll listen to other people that have
Right.
tasted it, and it's the greatest thing they've ever had, because I just spent $75,000 for this. It better be good.
It better be good. Guarantee it's gonna be good.
Best thing ever you put your mouth on, right?
I don't know about all
Well,
that. I don't know about all that.
I'm just gonna sit here and enjoy that comment.
just enjoy that comment and that
I
cigar.
don't know about
That
all
cigar.
that.
What a great cigar. I had this for the first time, I think it was last week or week before, whenever we got it in. Hadn't been here long, and had this, and I commented to T, I was like, man, this is a really good cigar. Now, we have a member in here that I smoke with a lot that I'm hesitant to tell him it's a really good cigar, because, you know, they like their certain cigars, and he's really a great cigar smoker, but every time I recommend one to try, it's like, I ain't really like that. You know, so I just say, I really like this cigar. That's all I say.
How is the inventory? Is this the last of the box, or do you have another one in the humidor? I'm
Nope.
hoping. This is it?
We can
it.
get some more. This is not a limited run, is it? We can get some more.
Thank goodness.
We have somebody that'll be here Friday that'd be more than happy to get us all we want.
I think I know who's coming Friday.
Yeah, CAO. I know that rep. We do.
We do. We don't get to see her much anymore.
I talked to her yesterday.
Very sad. We text a lot. I check in on her, but no, I miss her on our podcast. I miss having her here. But this is a great smoke. Great. I really appreciate Charles bringing in the double rye, because I think it's a wonderful comparison, which strikes my mind going, well, why not do a rye or some kind of show where we're tasting 3 or more, just to get them out there, because they're so different, and it would be cool. And it's almost like,
Yep.
why wouldn't you do a Redbreast 12 with a monkey shoulder just for the heck of it? Just for the heck of it,
So
Be interesting.
Friday.
For an Irish whiskey type thing.
Okay.
So on Friday, it was Mary's birthday, and so
Whoa.
she had a little gathering at 119 Main, which is, was it Thai?
Yes, top food.
Thai food. So, of course, it being Mary, somebody brought a round of sake. So she wanted me to do a shot of sake with her mother. So me and her mother did a shot of sake. So the owner comes over and he says, "Oh, you got to try that with amaretto." What? Sake and amaretto.
Uh-oh.
Do not try that at home. That's good.
Uh-oh.
That is good.
I hate those.
Did y'all
I was
have
out of town.
Uber? Y'all had Ubers to get y'all out of there on
Oh, I
Friday.
walked.
Oh, you walked. Well,
I
Yeah,
parked in
over
the
here.
back, and I walked,
yes,
and then
right.
I walked back to my car. So I was good. I was good.
Good.
But yeah, that's.
But they had a good group, because Chris was there with Megan.
Yeah, Big Grizzly was there.
Yeah, Big Grizzly was
Big
there.
country. All
Yeah,
right.
he
Yep.
was there.
Man, I ain't seen that dude in a while. Yeah.
He's made 2 appearances in the last week.
I've seen him 3 times.
They see him a lot more than I do.
I haven't seen him since Christmas.
He was in here Monday, Tuesday of last week, Wednesday. It had to be, yeah, it had to be Wednesday. And got to talk to Chris for about 30 minutes, which was really good.
Good.
I had to go, but no, that was Thursday because it's the day I left to go out of town. That's what it was. So I go out of town to Farmville, Virginia. My roommate from college and teammate lives up there, so we haven't been up to his house. So we go up there for 4 days. Great experience, just great. Plays in a band called the Porch Gliders, and there's 6-7 guys in the band, and they play everything.
Okay.
So this is one of my favorite songs. It was the first time they had played it, and let me find the text here if I get this right. They took A Whole Lot of Love by the Led Zeppelin. That's the music. And the lyrics were Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash. Wow. Like, who would ever think that would work?
Sounds like a
But when
genius.
that guy on the guitar was legit. Like, he did a great job of that, because there's a lot of guitar in that. You know, that was just blew me away. Really good. But that was a lot of fun. Got to see a couple of my teammates while we were there, and had a great time. So I missed Mary's birthday get together because her birthday is tomorrow,
Oh.
and Sierra's was last week.
No, mine's is tomorrow.
Oh, Sierra's is tomorrow. Mary's was last week.
Yeah.
Mine's
Mine's.
I'm not
mine's-
I'm not sharing my birthday.
MINDS. Mine was.
Happy birthday to Sierra.
Hey.
Here we'll have all our members here. Everybody will have a great time. Anything else for the good of the cause?
Thank you.
Samir, you come see me?
A lot of information today. If you
Yeah.
missed this one, you missed a great podcast. You missed great information. Really appreciate Charles's expertise. Great questions, great conversation. We know where to escape the normal, right?
That's right.
We come to Smoking Barrel.
That's right.
T, what's the best cigar you having today?
The one I'm having right now with my family and friends.
There you go. You guys have a great day. Thanks for joining us. Salute, as T says.